When people think of the late great Jim Henson, one of his various creations tends to stand out amongst the rest.
It's the Muppet Show with our very special guest star, Miss Juliet Prowse!
However, Henson's groundbreaking contributions to puppetry extend far beyond the Muppet Theatre, Sesame Street, or even Fraggle Rock. During the 1980s, the Jim Henson Company, or Henson Associates as it was known at the time, produced two original fantasy films. While many are familiar with the 1986 film Labyrinth, due in no small part to the involvement of David Bowie, its predecessor, released 4 years earlier, is far less well known. I am of course speaking of the 1982 film The Dark Crystal. This was only the third feature film the company had produced, following The Muppet Movie and The Great Muppet Caper. Unlike most Henson productions, The Dark Crystal does not feature any human characters on screen. Instead, the film is populated entirely by puppets. The film's main protagonist, a gelfling named Jen, voiced by Stephen Garlick, isn't the most compelling character.
I don't understand.
Also, when Jen is first introduced, he is hanging out in the Valley of the Mystics playing his flute, completely naked. This is never acknowledged or addressed throughout the rest of the film. In contrast, the film's other gelfling character, Keira, voiced by Lisa Maxwell, is far more competent than Jen, despite the fact she was raised by podlings. Throughout the film, viewers are subjected to Jen's inner thoughts, many of which don't add much of value.
I'm not ready to go alone. All right? Alone, then.
Though I suppose that particular line does have some payoff once Jen meets Keira and she chooses to join him on his quest.
Keira, you don't have to go.
I know.
All right? Together, then.
It has been suggested that Keira should have ultimately been the chosen one. In fact, the wording used in the opening narration does seem to hint at the possibility of this switch.
At this time, Jen is the chosen one.
The Gelflings are joined on their journey by Kira's pet Fizzgig, a cross between a dog and a tribble.
No, Fizzgig. You stay here. Dole.
Of all the creatures in the film, the most memorable are the Skeksis. Though they share certain similarities, each one is a distinct character. Of course, most people's favourite Skeksis is Skeksil, better known as the Chamberlain. Voiced by Barry Dennen, the Chamberlain is particularly memorable because of the distinctive sound he makes.
I hate your whimper!
Arguably the film's other most memorable character is Aughra, voiced by Billy Whitelaw. The one-eyed oracle is given many of the film's best lines.
Who sent you?
My master. Why is this at the Mystics?
Where is he? Around here?
He's dead.
Could be anywhere then.
The aforementioned narration is delivered by Joseph O'Connor. O'Connor does have another role in the film, which might explain the identity of the narrator. The plot of The Dark Crystal is pretty basic. In fact, the characters have a habit of summarising it at various points throughout the film.
You know the three suns in the sky? They're going to come together soon. It's called the Great something or other. It's a prophecy, and he told me that I must find the shard, and that everything must be done before the three suns join in one, and that's all. And then he died.
Those familiar with the work of Jim Henson's Creature Shop may notice certain similarities to other films of that era. For example, the death of Ursu the Master is very similar to Yoda's demise in Return of the Jedi, which was released the following year. Originally, only the Gelflings spoke English, while the other creatures all communicated in unrecognisable languages. Henson felt that their meanings could be conveyed purely through the puppetry. However, test audiences did not respond well to this, and new dialogue had to be recorded to match what had already been shot. As a result, a lot of the dialogue is quite functional, simply conveying information characters need to know, or remarking on what is happening on screen. Because the filmmakers were having to fit dialogue to match the existing footage of the puppets' mouths, certain lines became truncated, giving the speech an appropriately alien sound. The Jim Henson Company is known for its family-friendly content. While The Dark Crystal does fall into this category, it is notably darker than most prior offerings. I guess the clue is in the name. Some scenes are actually quite frightening for younger viewers. The film features several intense moments akin to something from an Indiana Jones film. Henson directed the film himself with puppeteering legend Frank Oz. Creating the world of the Dark Crystal was the filmmaker's top priority. There are whole sequences where nothing much actually happens, but the world is so interesting to look at that it doesn't matter. Henson wanted to make the world as complex and detailed as our own.
What in the world? This place is weird.
Even in the quieter moments, there is always something happening, often in the background. The film is inhabited by many unique and impressive-looking creatures. Some of the side characters, who are mostly there for comic relief, are a little more Muppet-like. However, the range of expression certain characters are able to display is truly incredible. As with all good puppetry, you quickly forget you're watching puppets at all, and simply get caught up in the film. That being said, the puppetry on display is outstanding. The filmmakers used various techniques to bring the world of the film to life, including elaborate sets and model work, real locations, and highly detailed matte paintings. There are a couple of examples of poor compositing, though these moments do not detract from the more impressive visuals. Composer Trevor Jones created a fantastically iconic score for the film. His music really sets the tone, adding a sense of wonder, mystery, and danger to the already captivating visuals. The film's ending is quite abrupt. The story does conclude, but doesn't really allow viewers any time to reflect on said conclusion before the credits roll. There is still so much that could be uncovered. You really get the sense the film barely scratches the surface of this world. In fact, the name of the world, later revealed to be Thra, isn't mentioned in the film at all. Instead, it is simply said to be
Another world, another time, in the age of wonder.
The mythology of the Dark Crystal was expanded upon in books and comics. There were even plans for a follow-up film, titled The Power of the Dark Crystal. However, after going through various stages of development over the course of multiple decades, these plans were eventually abandoned. The unproduced script was adapted into a 12-issue comic book series in 2017. Also in 2017, it was announced that the Jim Henson Company, in association with Netflix, would produce a prequel series. In 2019, they released the Netflix original series, The Dark Crystal: Age of Resistance. The series deserves its own separate video, but I will say, it's very good. After completing the film, Henson said that of all projects that he'd ever worked on, The Dark Crystal was the one that he was the most proud of. The film isn't flawless, but it is a truly unique cinematic experience. If you have seen The Dark Crystal, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. If you liked this video, why not give it a thumbs up? Maybe share it with a friend. Or an enemy. Either way, be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications to see more content here on Channel 73.